The deeper Han Li descended, the quieter the world became. Thunder that once roared like an enraged dragon was gradually devoured by the abyss, until even the golden radiance of divine Devilbane lightning faded into nothingness. What remained was absolute darkness, an ancient, suffocating void steeped in devilish essence that had been sealed since time immemorial. It was as if the abyss itself was waiting silently, measuring whether this intruder would become its next offering. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Your sect originated from the great Jin. Hanli couldn't help but ask, surprise flickering across his face. That is correct, Master Sunreach sighed softly. However, that matter occurred countless years ago. Aside from a few particular ancient cultivation arts passed down within our sect, we no longer maintain any connection with our original lineage. This secret would have remained buried forever had it not been for our current predicament. By chance, I discovered an ancient record hidden deep within the sect's restricted grounds. Hanli pondered briefly before asking fellow Taoist Sunreach, does this ancient record mention the sealing formation, or the method to destroy the calamity suppressed beneath it? Master Sunreach's expression turned solemn. The record stated only that the seal was of utmost importance, and that guarding it was our sect's eternal duty. Unfortunately, it did not provide any concrete details. That said, it did vaguely describe the composition of the sealing formation. After gathering several spell formation masters and devoting years of research, we finally devised a method to restore it. Wei Wuya continued in a low voice. However, this method not only requires a large number of high-grade cultivators, but also demands that one person venture deep into the devilish chi itself to place a formation plate at a precise location. That is precisely why we sought out fellow Taoist Han. Only your divine Devilbane lightning can prevent the devilish chi from invading and corrupting the body. Hanli frowned upon hearing this. Yet after a moment his expression relaxed, and he asked calmly, "It seems you have been preparing this method for quite some time, but I only recently returned to the Drifting Cloud sect. Before my return, how did you intend to place the formation plate while I was still unaccounted for?" Wei Wuya and Master Sunreach exchanged glances, momentarily speechless. "It appears we cannot conceal anything from you," Master Sunreach said with a gentle smile. "We initially gathered numerous powerful devil-warding treasures and entrusted them to a cultivator skilled in an evil-suppressing technique. However, when that cultivator probed the depths of the devilish chi, its ferocity far exceeded our expectations. The chances of success were less than 50%. With fellow Taoist Han's divine Devilbane lightning, however, matters will be entirely different. The lightning is renowned for its ability to suppress devilish chi. This task should be effortless for you. So that's how it is." Hanli smiled faintly. His eyes gleamed as he spoke. "It is true that among all cultivators of Heavenly South, this task would indeed be easiest for me. Still, before proceeding, I wish to personally witness the terror of this endless devilish chi. I have no intention of gambling on a task doomed to fail." "That is only reasonable," Master Sunreach agreed without hesitation. "At present, fellow Taoist Devil Concord is keeping watch over the devilish chi beneath the giant whirlpool. It would be best for you to observe it now. After all, the sooner the devilish chi is sealed, the better." Wei Wuya nodded in agreement, raising no objections. Seeing this, Han Li felt slightly reassured. Since everything appeared above board, this matter likely concealed no trap. The three immediately departed from Master Sunreach's cave residence and flew westward toward the location of the giant whirlpool. After traveling over 50 kilometers, they arrived above a stretch of sea blanketed in pale white mist. High above, a massive cloud of rainbow-colored light swirled endlessly, resembling an inverted whirlpool suspended in the sky. A faint, indescribable connection seemed to bind the mist below and the rainbow cloud above. A trace of astonishment flashed across Han Li's face. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he discovered that both the mist and the rainbow light were saturated with astonishing amounts of pure spiritual, far surpassing even that produced by a top-grade spirit vein. So this is the giant whirlpool, Han Li murmured. Master Sunreach gestured toward a nearby area. Indeed, fellow Taoist Devil Concord should be stationed on a nearby reef. Let us speak with him. Han Li extended his spiritual sense in that direction, and soon discovered a tall man clad in black robes, seated 5 kilometers away. The instant Han Li's spiritual sense touched him, Devil Concord opened his eyes and cast a cold glance in Han Li's direction before rising to his feet. His figure blurred, and in the next moment he was already standing in the air. By then Han Li and the others had arrived. As Master Sunreach drew closer, he stopped and greeted warmly fellow Taoist Concord. Fellow Taoist Han has arrived. It seems the sealing spell formation can finally be restored. Oh, Devil Concord replied indifferently. So fellow Taoist Han has agreed to assist us. With the divine Devilbane lightning's success should be instantaneous. His tone was cold, devoid of any smile, his gaze filled with distant disregard as it settled upon Han Li. Han Li was momentarily surprised, but upon reflection he couldn't help but smile inwardly. The divine Devilbane lightning was a natural bane to devilish chi, and equally devastating to cultivators who practiced Devil Dao arts. As the foremost cultivator of the Devil Dao, it was only natural that Devil Concord would feel uncomfortable. Master Sunreach's cordial attitude was likely meant to prevent any overt hostility. Han Li shook his head internally. Though the situation left him slightly uneasy, he paid it little mind. With his current cultivation, even if Devil Concord harbored murderous intent, Han Li possessed more than enough strength to protect himself. Moreover, he was certain Devil Concord would not act so foolishly. After Wei Wuya informed Devil Concord of Han Li's intention to inspect the devilish chi, Devil Concord merely frowned before nodding. Guided by the three, Han Li soon approached the giant whirlpool. Moments later, its true form was laid bare before his eyes. The whirlpool spanned nearly 1 kilometer in diameter. Strangely, instead of churning seawater, it continuously released strands of pure white spiritual chi. The chi gathered into a dense mist above the vortex, shimmering beneath the sunlight, a breathtaking sight. Han Li inhaled deeply, the damp sea air filling his lungs. His heart trembled as he sensed the sheer concentration of spiritual chi nearby. If it released such quantities day after day, its reserves must be nothing short of terrifying. Unable to discern the depths from above, Han Li's body glowed as he flew toward the center of the whirlpool, intent on examining it more closely. Yet the moment he arrived overhead, an immense pulling force seized his body, dragging him downward with irresistible strength. Startled azure light erupted violently from his body, instantly forming a protective barrier. Relying on his profound cultivation, he stabilized himself mid-air. Only then did he peer downward, blue radiance flickering within his eyes. At that moment, the 3 great cultivators observing him were struck with alarm. Wei Wuya spoke gravely, "Brother Sunreach, I recall that Elder Ma of my sect at the mid-nascent soul stage once flew above this whirlpool. He dropped more than 30 meters before regaining control." "I received that report as well," Master Sunreach replied, shock evident on his face. "The whirlpool's attractive force is formidable. Even we were nearly caught off guard." Wei Wuya clicked his tongue, admiration flashing in his eyes. "Indeed, in the past, I sensed something unusual about fellow Taoist Han's cultivation. It was already deeper than that of ordinary cultivators. Now that he has reached the mid-nascent soul stage, his magic power is even purer. I truly wonder what cultivation art he practices. It is fascinating." "That remains unclear," Master Sunreach said hesitantly. "Though certain top-grade cultivation arts can drastically enhance one's magic power, they are either extraordinarily difficult to cultivate or suffer from severe flaws. Which path fellow Taoist Han follows is unknown." Devil Concord remained silent, yet his expression darkened noticeably. At that moment, Han Li's figure blurred. In a flash of azure light, he reappeared beside the 3. "This whirlpool possesses astonishing spiritual chi," Han Li said calmly. along with an immensely powerful attractive force. I cannot determine its depth, nor the dangers concealed within. The dense spiritual chi and the distance prevent our spiritual sense from probing deeply, Master Sunreach explained. To monitor the devilish chi, one must descend personally. While we can resist the pull with some effort, it would be best for fellow Taoist Han to employ defensive treasures during the descent. There are also numerous subsidiary whirlpools below being dragged into. One would be perilous. How about I accompany you? Han Li's remaining apprehension vanished at once. Then I will trouble you. Your company would be most welcome. Without delay, Han Li and Master Sunreach transformed into streaks of azure and white light respectively, plunging into the whirlpool and vanishing without a trace. Only Wei Wuya and Devil Concord remained behind, standing in silence as they stared at the churning vortex. After a long while, Devil Concord finally turned his head. Brother Wei, what do you think of drifting cloud sect's fellow Taoist Han? Wei Wuya smiled faintly before replying slowly, What do I think of him? What exactly do you wish to know? Devil Concord snorted, his voice turning icy. Why ask me when you already know the answer? Fellow Taoist Wei, don't tell me you feel no fear toward what he may become. He has already entered the mid-nascent soul stage at such a young age and possesses such terrifying abilities. By the time he reaches the late nascent soul stage, our current standing in the heavenly south will no longer exist. Wei Wuya glanced at Devil Concord and revealed a mysterious smile. Heh, my perspective differs somewhat from yours. Oh, Devil Concord's eyes narrowed. You hold a different opinion. Then speak it plainly. Could it be that you believe you have the confidence to suppress him once he reaches late nascent soul stage? Suppress him. Wei Wuya laughed softly and shook his head. Why would I want to do that? I am the oldest of the 3 great cultivators of the heavenly south. At most, I have just over 100 years left to live. Even if he were the reincarnation of a true immortal, it would be impossible for him to reach the late nascent soul stage within that time. And even if he did, and even if he dominated the entire heavenly south, what would that have to do with me? Devil Concord's gaze turned sharp. Brother Wei is willing to allow a single person to forcibly seize the power and authority you spent so much effort and care to obtain. If you were to form an alliance with me, I could even make certain concessions. I'm not interested, Wei Wuya replied bluntly, a faint smile still on his face. Isn't it already too late to act? If you had made this proposal when he was only at the early nascent soul stage, I might have been tempted. But now his abilities are no weaker than ours, even while standing at the same realm. I have no desire to make an enemy of a cultivator equal to myself, nor to doom my sect to calamity. He paused briefly, then continued calmly. Brother Concord should remember that existences at our level are exceedingly difficult to extinguish. Even with an ambush and assistance, it would still be insufficient. Of course, if you were capable of constructing a trap on the level of what we once used to deal with the Elder Devil, that would be another matter entirely. Wei Wuya then added in a measured tone, but in my opinion, you would do best to refrain from underhanded schemes and provoking his wrath. This person may very well unify the heavenly south in the future. Do not forget those deity transformation cultivators who once unified the heavenly south in ages past. Devil Concord fell silent. His expression darkened as he sank into deep thought. Meanwhile, Han Li and Master Sunreach had descended nearly 10 kilometers into the depths of the whirlpool. Under the crushing pressure of the dense spiritual chi, neither of them could descend quickly, and they were forced to sink at a steady, deliberate pace. Han Li had already summoned his blue light shield, enveloping his body in a layer of shimmering azure radiance. At the same time, over 30 streaks of golden light revolved rapidly around him, pulling him ever deeper into the whirlpool. Master Sunreach, on the other hand, descended with remarkable ease. A single white flying sword revolved around his body, effortlessly cleaving through layers of condensed spiritual chi as he kept pace at Han Li's side. Seeing this, Han Li felt a trace of admiration rise within him. As expected, late nascent soul eccentrics truly were existences apart from the ordinary. With this thought, Han Li swept his surroundings with his spiritual sense. However, it could only extend roughly 40 meters downward before being forcefully repelled, preventing him from probing any deeper. His bright sight spirit eyes fared slightly better, allowing him to see a little over 100 meters below. Even so, all that met his gaze was endless white mist. Still, the bright sight spirit eyes occasionally detected the emergence of hidden spiritual chi whirlpools in advance, allowing Han Li to evade them with ease. Naturally, Master Sunreach noticed how effortlessly Han Li avoided these concealed whirlpools before they fully formed. His impression of Han Li deepened further, strengthening his desire to win him over. As for the possibility of Han Li unifying the Heavenly South upon reaching the late nascent soul stage, Master Sunreach cared little for it. If his judgment was correct, Han Li was a cultivator wholly devoted to pursuing the heavenly Tao. As long as nothing personally threatened him, he would quietly cultivate in seclusion rather than seek power or dominion. Otherwise, Han Li could have easily seized control of the state of Xi long ago. According to reports from the righteous Tao, when Han Li was at the early nascent soul stage, and even after advancing to mid-nascent soul, he displayed no signs of ambition or hunger for authority, much to Master Sunreach's relief. After the time it would take to finish a meal, Han Li estimated that they had already descended more than 30 kilometers. He couldn't help but glance upward, only to see an impenetrable sea of white spiritual mist separating him completely from the outside world. Judging by the immense pressure bearing down upon his flying swords, Han Li reckoned that only mid to nascent soul cultivators could descend this far. If not for the profound magic power granted by his azure essence sword arts, far deeper than that of cultivators at the Tide, same realm, he would already be struggling under the strain. Just as Han Li was lost in thought, Master Sunreach's voice rang out, "Fellow Taoist Han, we're about to reach the bottom. Be cautious." "Many thanks, Brother Sunreach." Han Li immediately focused his mind and looked downward. What greeted his eyes was a blinding expanse of white radiance, as though countless overlapping layers of light lay beneath him. Alarmed, Han Li slowed his descent. Moments later, both he and Master Sunreach halted roughly 20 meters above a massive barrier of white light. Activating his bright sight spirit eyes, Han Li clearly saw innumerable threads of pitch-black devilish chi writhing and surging beyond the barrier. "So this is what suppresses the devilish chi," Han Li muttered. "It will not be easy to deal with." Master Sunreach nodded gravely. "That's right. The sheer quantity of devilish chi has transformed it into an abyss. No one knows how deep it truly goes. I won't conceal this from you, I once attempted to enter it myself. Though my cultivation art possesses some evil-warding properties, I could only descend roughly 300 meters before being forced to retreat. In both nature and quantity, this devilish chi is something ordinary cultivators cannot even approach." He continued slowly. "Devil cultivators who practice ancient devilish arts would experience a massive surge in cultivation upon contact, but in exchange their souls would be corrupted and ultimately lost." Han Li nodded silently, his gaze fixed upon the roiling devilish chi as he contemplated the situation. After a brief moment he spoke. "Brother Sunreach, wait here for a moment. I wish to test just how formidable this devilish chi truly is." "Be careful, Brother Han." Master Sunreach replied, unsurprised by his decision. Han Li said nothing more. His figure blurred several times before he appeared with the tip of one foot resting lightly upon the light barrier. A foot-long streak of azure sword chi shot downward, instantly piercing through the barrier and plunging into the devilish chi, vanishing without a trace. A flicker of surprise crossed Han Li's face before realization dawned. The light barrier only resisted devilish chi, it posed no obstruction to him at all. With that, the golden sword streaks revolving around him began to hum with thunder. Arcs of golden lightning crackled into existence, weaving together to form an enormous net of lightning around his body. At this point, Han Li's mastery of the divine Devilbane lightning had reached a level bordering on the unfathomable. Forming an incantation seal with his hands, the lightning net rapidly contracted, wrapping tightly around his azure barrier in the blink of an eye and forming a massive sphere of lightning. At the same time, his flying sword shrank to only a few inches in length and vanished into his sleeve. Prepared, Han Li silently passed through the light barrier and entered the depths of the devilish chi without the slightest resistance. Thunder roared. Black devilish chi lashed wildly toward him, yet each surge was instantly dispersed by the rings of thunder that continuously radiated from his body. Han Li did not move. He simply stood in place, calmly observing as the divine devil-bane lightning scattered the devilish chi. Yet moments later the chi regrouped, surging back toward him once more. Han Li frowned. His heart sank as he noticed the speed at which the divine devil-bane lightning was being consumed. Tilting his head slightly, he pondered before descending even deeper. He did not dare extend his spiritual sense beyond the light barrier. The concentrated devilish essence below could easily corrupt it, causing catastrophic harm. Thus he relied solely on his bright sight spirit eyes to peer into the pitch-black depths. Even then, he could only see about 10 meters ahead. After descending roughly 600 meters, Han Li halted, surveyed his surroundings briefly, and then immediately ascended. When Master Sunreach saw Han Li reappear, he smiled. The divine devil-bane lightning truly lives up to its reputation. You remained within the devilish chi for so long without suffering the slightest harm. It was nothing extraordinary, Han Li replied calmly. Since the devilish chi is uncontrolled, it scatters easily. Let us return to the surface and discuss matters there. Master Sunreach nodded at once. Han Li withdrew the golden lightning, summoned his flying sword, and the two swiftly ascended back toward the surface. The others raised no objections to Devil Concord's proposal to move the discussion elsewhere, and the group soon set off toward Spirit Turtle Island. Han Li requested a sealed meditation chamber from Master Sunreach, intending to spend the night quietly cultivating, while the other two retrieved the formation plate from the spell. Formation Masters. By the following morning, Han Li received a sound transmission talisman from Master Sunreach and promptly made his way to the main hall. As Han Li entered, his brow lifted slightly. The three great cultivators were already seated inside, conversing among themselves. When Wei Wuya noticed Han Li's arrival, he beckoned him over and flicked his wrist, causing a faint red jade slip to appear atop the table. "Fellow Taoist Han, please take a seat," Wei Wuya said calmly. "This jade slip contains the location where the formation plate must be placed, according to our research on the ceiling formation." "Oh, let me take a look." Han Li waved his hand, drawing the jade slip into his grasp, then took a seat and immersed his spiritual sense into it. Moments later, his expression shifted. He withdrew his spiritual sense, his face darkened with unmistakable displeasure. With a sharp motion, Han Li placed the jade slip back onto the table and raised his head, his voice cold. "Fellow Taoists, do you intend for me to embark on a one-way journey by placing the formation plate so deep within the abyss?" Devil Concord replied evenly, his tone unruffled. "How can fellow Taoist Han say such a thing? Though the location is somewhat deep, with the divine devil-bane lightning protecting you, it should not pose any real danger. Is that so?" Han Li shot Devil Concord a sharp glance, his voice tinged with anger. "Does Brother Concord believe that my reserves of divine devil-bane lightning are limitless? Or do you simply wish for me to never return after placing the formation plate?" Wei Wuya frowned. "You mean to say that your divine devil-bane lightning won't be enough for the return journey? From what I recall, fellow Taoist Han controlled an enormous amount of lightning during your battle with the Elder Devil. It shouldn't be a serious issue." Han Li looked at him strangely. "Could it be that you did not descend very deep into the devilish chi back then?" Wei Wuya exclaimed, his expression changing. "Fellow Taoist Han means to say..." Devil Concord's eyes flickered faintly, but he remained silent. Master Sunreach meanwhile lowered his head deep in thought. Han Li interlaced his fingers and held them before his chest, explaining calmly, beyond a certain depth, the devilish nature of the chi intensifies dramatically, and the rate at which it consumes divine devil-bane lightning increases accordingly. I reached this conclusion after descending roughly 1 kilometer into the abyss. While I do possess some divine devil-bane lightning, it will not suffice for a journey 10 kilometers deep and a safe return. Wei Wuya's expression tightened. He turned toward Master Sunreach. So it was like that. Brother Sunreach, you delved deeper into the devilish chi than either of us. Is this true? It is Master Sunreach sighed and nodded. When I used my secret techniques to descend further, my magic power was depleted at an accelerated rate. I originally believed fellow Taoist Han might not notice, and was considering how to warn him. Devil Concord's expression shifted at once. If that is the case, then our original plan to send a cultivator equipped with devil-warding treasures would indeed fail. While such a person might remain safe initially, corruption would become inevitable at greater depths. That's right, Master Sunreach said with a bitter smile. That is why I was never fond of that plan. However, at the time, fellow Taoist Han was still missing, and we had no better alternative. Han Li observed their expressions and tones with cool indifference, though a trace of gloom crept into his heart. Whether the three truly had not known, or had chosen to conceal the truth, was impossible to tell. Regardless, he had no intention of agreeing lightly. Silence filled the hall. It was clear that sending someone to place the formation plate so deep within the devilish chi was tantamount to a death sentence. Appealing to righteousness or sacrifice would hardly persuade Han Li, though all four present understood that the release of the devilish chi would devastate half of the heavenly south. None of them, having reached such lofty cultivation, were willing to sacrifice themselves. If the worst came to pass, they could simply abandon the heavenly south altogether. With their level of cultivation, finding refuge elsewhere would be trivial. Yet apart from Han Li, no one else possessed the ability to descend deep enough to place the formation plate. The three great cultivators exchanged troubled glances. At that moment, Han Li's gaze shifted slightly before he spoke in a relaxed tone. I am well aware of the gravity of this matter and the dilemma you all face. As such, I have an idea worth attempting. Master Sunreach's eyes lit up. What idea? Please speak freely. Wei Wuya and Devil Concord were equally stirred, both turning their attention to Han Li. It is quite simple, Han Li said evenly. I believe I can reach the designated location using the divine devil-bane lightning. However, I will not have enough remaining to ensure a safe return. Therefore, you must hand over all the devil-warding treasures you have gathered to me, allowing me to last longer within the devilish chi. That said, he paused deliberately. This method does entail considerable risk on my part. Delight flashed across Wei Wuya's face. That will not be a problem at all. So long as fellow Taoist Han can place the formation plate, we will lend you every devil-warding treasure in our possession. Naturally, we will not have you brave such peril without compensation, Master Sunreach added with a smile, turning toward Devil Concord. Brother Concord, what do you say? Devil Concord was momentarily stunned. After some hesitation, he nodded. If you succeed, we intend to grant one of these islands to fellow Taoist Han. You would give an entire island to me. Han Li narrowed his eyes. That's right, Master Sunreach replied warmly. To be honest, we originally planned to divide the islands among 7 great sects, most of which belong to our 3 superpowers. However, one island proved difficult to assign. It was meant for fellow Taoists Long Han and Feng Bing, but both are currently in seclusion. Thus, we decided to bestow it upon a smaller sect instead. Now that fellow Taoist Han is willing to brave such danger, we will grant the island to the Drifting Cloud sect. Surely no one will raise any objections. Is that so? Han Li said, visibly surprised. After all, he had heard that the islands possessed not only exceptional spirit veins, but also rich spirit stone mines and numerous rare resources. After a moment of thought, Han Li asked cautiously, since these 7 islands are part of the Grand Formation, won't they sink back into the sea once the formation is restored? Do not worry, Wei Wuya replied. The method we are using differs from the original formation. Naturally, we would not waste such valuable islands by letting them sink. However, any cultivators occupying the islands will be duty-bound to safeguard the sealing formation. Hanli muttered to himself briefly before replying, "Since the three of you have made such substantial promises, I will give it a try. But once this matter is settled, I do not wish to be further involved." Wei Wuya laughed heartily. "Placing the formation plate alone is already an extraordinary contribution. Leave the rest to us." Though Master Sunreach and Devil Concord had originally harbored different thoughts, they both felt temporarily at ease. At that moment, Wei Wuya retrieved a white circular object from his storage pouch and handed it to Han Li. Han Li glanced at it. It was a palm-sized formation plate carved meticulously from white jade, flickering with spiritual light and engraved with numerous intricate talismanic symbols. Azure light flashed briefly in Han Li's hand before the formation plate vanished into his storage pouch. "Excellent. Everything is prepared, save for one final matter," Wei Wuya said with satisfaction. "When does Brother Han plan to act?" "The sooner the better," Han Li replied solemnly. "I have already rested and recovered the magic power I expended earlier. If you have the devil-warding treasures on hand, I will place the formation plate immediately. Delaying any further could invite unforeseen changes in the devilish chi." The three great cultivators voiced no objections. They each produced the devil-warding treasures they had painstakingly acquired: a jade scepter crowned with a flood, dragon head, a fire-red trigram mirror, a set of gleaming golden armor, and a small black flag. Han Li tested each treasure and found them exceptional. 3 were yang flame treasures, highly effective against devilish chi. As for the black flag, it was a renowned Devil Dao treasure. According to Devil Concord, it was originally used to control ghostly yin winds, but was also capable of absorbing devilish chi. Han Li examined the flag skeptically, fiddling with it for a moment before storing it away, much to Devil Concord's shock. After putting away the treasures, the group departed Master Sunreach's cave residence and headed toward the giant whirlpool. 4 hours later, Han Li stood alone at the bottom of the whirlpool. Gazing at the devilish chi beyond the light barrier, he clenched his fist. Thunder roared as dense arcs of golden lightning erupted, weaving a vast net of lightning around his protective barrier. As he examined the golden lightning surrounding him, a faint trace of ridicule tugged at his lips. No matter how cunning the 3 great cultivators were, they could never have imagined that he possessed 72 flying swords forged from gold lightning bamboo. By his estimation, he could make 2 full trips with lightning to spare. This task posed no real danger to him at all. On one hand, he had exaggerated the risk to negotiate greater rewards. Master Sunreach had hinted that benefits were possible. On the other, he wished to conceal the true extent of his divine devil-bane lightning. Within the heavenly south, the only beings capable of threatening him were the 3 great cultivators and the Mulan divine sages. Deception in this case was unavoidable. Just like the previous time Han Li descended into the abyss of devilish chi, he was enveloped within a net of divine devil-bane lightning. As he continued to sink deeper, the peals of thunder gradually softened, and before long, even the golden lightning vanished from sight. On the ocean's surface, the 3 great cultivators conversed quietly, while Han Li descended ever deeper. Brother Sunreach Wei Wuya asked with his hands clasped behind his back, "Do you truly believe that fellow Taoist Han lacks sufficient divine devil-bane lightning to complete the entire journey? Could it be that his lightning will be consumed too quickly, leaving nothing for his return?" Master Sunreach's expression darkened, and displeasure flickered across his face. "Does Brother Wei mean to imply that my previous words were false?" Wei Wuya laughed lightly. "Please do not misunderstand me. That was not my intention. I merely find it strange that fellow Taoist Han agreed so readily." Master Sunreach's expression eased slightly. "If that is the case, then I cannot be entirely certain myself. When I descended into the abyss of devilish chi, the deeper I went, the more rapidly my magic power was consumed. To complete a full round trip, one would require an astonishing quantity of divine devil-bane lightning. I do not believe fellow Taoist Han can accomplish such a feat relying on lightning alone. Perhaps he possesses some other means to temporarily resist the devilish qi. That is indeed possible, Wei Wuya said with a faint smile. After all, the cultivation world is filled with endless mysteries and wonders. Regardless, it would be best if this calamity can be resolved smoothly. As he spoke, Wei Wuya cast a glance toward Devil Concord. The tall man in black robes stood with his arms crossed, gazing down at the whirlpool. His expression was cold and unreadable, and he said nothing. For a time, silence reigned. 10 kilometers beneath the surface, within the depths of the devilish qi, a light barrier surging with golden lightning floated motionlessly. Han Li stood inside, his expression solemn as he read through the jade slip, detailing the precise location where the formation plate was to be placed. Moments later, he withdrew his spiritual sense and surveyed his surroundings. Absolute darkness stretched in all directions. This was unsurprising. He had already reached the deepest region of the devilish qi abyss. Han Li frowned, then opened his mouth and spat out an inch-long golden flying sword. In a flash of golden light, the small sword shot out of the barrier, a thin layer of lightning wrapping its blade. It circled once around Han Li before hovering above his head, transforming into a strange, inch-wide ring of golden radiance. Forming an incantation gesture, Han Li pointed toward the ring. It shuddered briefly before streaking forward in a beam of golden light. Han Li followed close behind, his figure blurring. After flying just over a meter, the small sword abruptly plunged downward. A dull boom echoed through the abyss. It had pierced something solid. A trace of joy appeared on Han Li's face. He halted 3 meters above the impact point. In the pitch-black darkness, the only visible light came from the faint flicker of lightning surrounding the embedded sword. It had pierced into a massive flat stone. Han Li muttered softly to himself, then pressed one hand against his light barrier. The net of lightning surged with blinding brilliance as several dense bolts of golden lightning shot outward, coiling into massive lightning pythons. The pythons swept through the surrounding area, violently dispersing the devilish qi and illuminating what lay beneath. Han Li's expression shifted in shock. This was not a mere rock, it was the floor of an altar. It extended far beyond the reach of the lightning's illumination. He stared in amazement. The location chosen by the formation masters to bury the formation plate was far more extraordinary than he had anticipated. At Han Li's command, the lightning pythons spread outward, revealing the altar's general outline. It was a square structure spanning roughly 100 meters. The carvings and patterns etched into the stone walls clearly marked it as a construct left behind by cultivators of antiquity. After taking in his surroundings, Han Li gestured toward the sword embedded in the stone. It shot back into his sleeve in a streak of golden light. He then flew toward the center of the structure. Moments later, faint white light flickered ahead. Han Li's heart stirred. He accelerated soon, clearly seeing what lay at the altar's center, a shattered stone tablet. Only a small portion of its base remained standing, while fragments lay scattered across the ground. Han Li's gaze lingered on the remnants. Though shattered, several worn talisman characters were still visible, though he could not recognize them. The material itself was unfamiliar, occasionally emitting faint glimmers of white light. Could this be a rare material on par with gold lightning bamboo? Han Li wondered. He reached out and grasped a fist-sized fragment. Azure light flickered from his palm as the piece flew into his hand. The stone fragment appeared grey and unremarkable. If not for the faint spiritual radiance, nothing about it would have drawn attention. Han Li examined it several times. His brow twitched, and suddenly he exerted tremendous strength in his grip. A strange scene unfolded. Instead of shattering into powder, the stone flickered with white light and softened, allowing his fingers to sink deeply into it. Han Li's heart jolted. Frowning, he asked through his spiritual sense, "Senior Soul Divergence, do you recognize this material?" No Monarch Soul Divergence replied lazily, "I've never seen it before." But that is hardly surprising. Countless rare materials were used in ancient times. It is impossible for anyone to know them all. You may as well let me research it. I have little else to occupy my time." Without hesitation, Han Li tossed the fragment toward the bamboo tube on his back. Light flashed from the tube, and a swirl of white mist sucked the strange stone inside. Han Li then turned his attention back to the shattered stone tablet. Judging from its condition, it hadn't been destroyed very long ago. It seemed that when the sealing formation was damaged, the tablet had shattered along with it. With a sweep of azure light, Han Li collected the remaining fragments. He then flicked his fingers, sending over 10 streaks of azure sword chi toward the tablet's base, intending to take it with him as well. A series of booms rang out. To Han Li's surprise, the sword chi failed to leave even a scratch. "How strange," Han Li exclaimed, startled. After hesitating briefly, he abandoned the idea and redirected his sword chi elsewhere. Though he still had ample divine devilbane lightning, Han Li dared not linger in such a dangerous place. He swiftly moved to place the formation plate. A sequence of dull explosions echoed as a 3-meter-deep hole formed beside the shattered tablet. With a wave of his hand, white light flickered and an exquisitely crafted formation plate appeared. Without hesitation, Han Li flicked his wrist, sending it into the hole in a streak of light. Fixing his gaze upon it, Han Li formed a hand seal. The formation plate flared with intense brilliance. A clear chime rang out. A thick beam of white light shot upward, vanishing into the darkness above. Han Li finally relaxed. The formation plate was functioning properly. He had found the correct location. With a sweep of his sleeve, an azure gale surged forth, burying the hole beneath stone and debris. He followed with a spell seal and a low incantation, melting the rocks together into a smooth surface. The hole vanished as if it had never existed. Han Li circled the area once more, ensuring nothing appeared out of place. Satisfied, he nodded. Then, with several spell seals, he struck the nearby lightning pythons. Thunder crackled as they dissolved into specks of light, and the devilish chi immediately surged back, filling the void. Han Li paused in thought lightning, already beginning to flash around his barrier as he prepared to ascend. At that moment, Monarch Soul Divergence's voice echoed through his spiritual sense. "Youngster, wait." Han Li halted in surprise. "What is it, senior?" "This place is the very core of the sealing formation, where the devilish chi is densest. Having been suppressed since ancient times, it is possible that devil essence diamonds have formed here. According to old records, they are materials used to refine precious devil Dao treasures. You should search the area." Devil essence diamonds. Han Li's expression turned strange. After a moment's thought, he slapped his storage pouch and retrieved a yellow jade scepter carved with a wolf's head. This was the ancient treasure that once housed Silvermoon. Though its artifact spirit was gone, it could still perform rudimentary earth manipulation techniques, albeit nowhere near Silvermoon's former mastery. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.